Now you might be wondering why we're in this not great looking room, but it's because we're going to talk about something here on Inside East West that is super special and unique, and that is the chambers, the plates, and the reverbs. Because the chambers, plates, and reverbs at East West are historical and they're very special. So the first thing is, everybody always asks me, how do you get in and out of the chambers and plates? Because they're not hardwired all the time. They're patched in every single time. So in order for an assistant to use the EMT 250, the plates that are in the back, or the chambers that are scattered around the building, they have to go in and out of this patch bay. In every control room, there is tie lines that come from the control room all the way into this right here. And you can see each one has its own label. Studio 1 sends, Studio 2 sends, Studio 3 sends, Chamber sends, EMT plate sends, and then Studio 5 sends. The only thing that's not hardwired through physical cable is Jeff Ellis's mix room, which is our Studio 7. I don't know, but he's using Dante to get in and out because it was easier to run a single Ethernet cable than it was to rerun a whole bunch of fucking cabling. So Jeff Ellis gets his own Dante connection, but everybody else gets a physical analog connection. Now let's take a look first at the EMT 250s that are back here. There's two EMT 250s, and these are the classic first generation of EMT reverbs that were made. To patch into these, first you gotta plug them in, and then there's some cables that you plug in and then plug directly into each EMT to use. Now let's take a look at the chamber. We're gonna go up into this dark, sneaky passageway, which in no way, shape, or form resembles anything creepy or serial killer-y in any way. And then into a tiny little door to talk about the world famous East-West chambers. Now, I love the way that this sounds in here, but it might sound like shit for y'all, so we'll find out later. These chambers were designed by Bill Putnam when he first built this studio. And you can see by their construction that there wasn't anything special about these rooms. It wasn't like Bill Putnam came in and again, his practicality and his frugality, he just came in, found an empty room, and made it into a chamber. The plaster that he used on these walls was his own formulation, and it is said that it took 3 months for it to dry fully and cure fully because it is denser and thicker than any normal plaster. The speaker that's in here, and has probably always been in here, is a simple Altec speaker. And this comes, like I said, a mono send from the studios into here. The mics that we're using in here are just simple 57s, and you can see they're just kind of randomly pointed. And because of the weird kind of design of this, as you can see, it's got another like beam running through it. The bottom of the stairs is running through it. This is not a perfectly symmetrical chamber, and it's actually what makes this chamber so cool. I've done a lot of reamping into these chambers with like specific tones and things and IR responses, and you can't get an extremely accurate response because every frequency in here bounces around differently. And it's what makes this chamber so special. Now this one specifically, you can hear some of that, all the leaves are brown in the sky. That Mamas and Papa sound came from this chamber specifically. And it's very special and unique in the fact that like, you can't get that exact sound anywhere else in the world. Now let's go check out the plates. Follow me to the plate room. This very dark and gloomy room is where East West keeps its actual EMT plates. Now, outside of the computer, there's basically two types of reverb. One is like a acoustic reverb, like the chambers that we were just in or a big hall. The other is an engineered reverb. These are the things like the EMT 250 or these EMT plates. And these operate more on a principle of a fake reverb sound. And they're slightly different in tone, right? Because they're not made the same way, but they can have similar effects. Now these are just literally a large steel plate inside, and it's got springs on all the sides so that it floats freely, and then you can use these little adjusters here to tighten or loosen the amount of tension on the plate, and that lengthens or shortens the amount of reverb. They also have mic pre's in them, so they come out at line level. So that's what makes these specific plates so important and special, was how they were made and when they were made and who they were made by. These ones specifically, you can see, they came from legend Wally Heider back in the day. These are RCA Records plates. Now, I believe East West has about 6 or 7 of them here, and they all sound different in their own way. And that's another thing to go after whenever you're choosing which plate to use, is which sounds which way. Now, I personally, I don't care, but I know some people that get real picky about their plate reverbs. So now I'm gonna show the process of patching into a plate and a chamber here in the studio. So I'm gonna come over here to the Studio One sends. I'm gonna grab some patch cables. All of the sends come out mono and return stereo. So we'll come out of one, and we will go into chamber one, out of chamber one, back into the Studio One returns. So we're gonna come out of the Studio One send for the plate, we'll go into plate 5, and then we'll come out of plate 5, back into the Studio One returns, 3 and 4. Bam. Now, let's go into Studio One and replicate this. So you'll find on every patch bay in all of the rooms, the chamber sends and chamber returns. Now, this is just a generic term for the engine room, but what we'll do is grab some cables over here. I'm going to take this out of the multi-track because I've got something in Pro Tools now that we can listen to. I'm gonna take this out of, let's say, multi-track A out 11 into chamber send 1, which was the chamber. We're gonna return that into multi-track 11 and 12. Then we're gonna take chamber send 3 out of 13 and return that to 13 in the right place, patch bays. Then we're gonna return that to 13 and 14. And if everything works, we'll have a successful sound. So let's talk about this. So I got this coming out, output 11, coming back in 11 and 12, and this is the glory of the chambers. Let's listen to it.
The flames blue, steaming too.
Beautiful decay, beautiful sound, and if you saw it on the meters, you would see it's not returning perfectly balanced, it's not perfectly even signals. That is what a real chamber is like. Same thing with the plates. Let's go over here. Nice decay, beautiful chamber, beautiful plate. So very different sounds. You'll notice, and this is like carries across all reverbs, but every reverb has a slightly different texture. But the chamber, to me, has more of a warmth and a body to it, and the plate is more metallic, being that the plate is in fact metal and the chamber is in fact a room. So that's a look at the chambers, plates, reverbs that are here at East West, and what makes them so special and why they're so cool to me is in fact their natural vibe. Make sure you check out some of the other videos on East West. They're all amazing. This is a very special place to me, and make sure you follow East West on social media and follow me, Greasy Will, everywhere I exist. Cool.